A lady refused to cut my hair based on my appearance, by user 110v3y0u. For context, I like to wear my clothes until they're worn out. I have money, but I don't really spend it unless I really want or need to. Money usually goes towards my groceries, bills, etc. My clothes don't look torn apart, but you can tell they're old. I wear old pants, old shoes, old shirts. All clean, just well worn. I decided to go to a salon for the first time just out of curiosity. I usually cut my own hair, but I wanted to try something new. I signed in, sat down, and waited. The lady, who I assumed was going to be the original person to cut my hair, takes a glance at me and turns around to one of her co-workers. Without even lowering her voice, tells her, I'm not cutting her hair. I walked in with very clean hair. I was clean. My hair is kind of short, and it was all brushed out and good before I walked in. She continued telling her that she didn't want to cut my hair because I was cheap and thought she'd be lucky to get free stuff here. I didn't know they did free things for newcomers anyway. Just wanted a haircut, you know. Well, her coworker cuts my hair instead. We have a nice talk, and I end up with a lovely haircut. She was one of the sweetest people I've ever met. On top of paying for my haircut, I look at her and tell her, here, I want you to have this. This is yours. Don't give it to anyone else. And give her a $50 tip. The other woman saw all of that, and looked angry as hell. The lady who cut my hair thanked me, and she looked overjoyed. That was the best $50 I've ever spent. Seeing the first woman's angry expression made my whole year. I'm not so cheap after all, hey? Karen on a plane, by user NoCell9903. I was on an airplane and right when we landed a Karen in the back unbuckled and darted to the front of the plane to get off first. She did not make any eye contact and felt that she was special. I'm talking about going from the very last seat on the plane, down the whole row and past first class. Basically standing at the little kitchen thing in the front. All this time the seat belt sign was still on and we were still rolling down the runway. The flight crew had asked her to return to her seat until we reached the gate, but she was not even responding. Everyone was basically trying to just wait it out. It was a long flight, 8 HRS, and at this point we were exhausted anyways. Nobody said a word. Suddenly the captain announced we had a special guest on board and he will be coming out to greet after we were settled at the gate. The Karen stood there awkwardly until we did the whole, rolling into the gate and whatever planes do when they land for about 15 to 20 minutes. Everyone sat there waiting to see what the captain was talking about. Eventually the captain came out and asked the lady to please move back a little to get to his special guest, then a little more. Then a little more. He was looking from row to row trying to find a specific person. Everyone is watching and looking around to see who it could be. He kept going and going, asking the Karen to please step back a few more steps each time. Finally, as they approached the rear of the plane, he asked her to sit for a second while he grabbed the intercom at the rear of the plane. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to announce our special guest sitting in seat 42C. Let's give her a round of applause. The whole plane was wild with laughter and applause. I loved every moment of that. Sincerely forgot a bully's name and called her something totally wrong. Then thanked her for getting me fired, by user Roundaluminium. TLDR, the title basically. I don't know if this is actually revenge, but a comment I made in a different sub reminded me of this event from 20 years ago, and it feels a little like harmless revenge to me. I worked at a small satellite office, 9 staffers, of a much larger organization headquartered elsewhere. The place was a seething snakepit of office politics, and the parent org was even worse. From the first day, everyone gossiped about everyone else to me, so I didn't tell them anything I could avoid telling them, because I knew anything I said would be immediately told to everyone in the office and weaponized when they wanted to use it. I did assume anyone who spent 5 minutes with me would know or at least suspect I'm gay. I was 40-something, not married, not macho, etc. But a trio of my women co-workers decided that since I was single and didn't look like a player, I must be a virgin, and it was fun for them to try to make me blush. Thus lots of sexual jokes and innuendo. Apparently it was their job to tease me into I'm not sure what go have sex with a woman? I would just walk away and never speak to them about anything not work-related and absolutely necessary. I'd been there 8 months and knew I wouldn't last a year. They decided to go full on mean girls and file multiple complaints about me, but there wasn't anything to complain about that was an actual infraction, so eventually one of them lied to HR and said I called our boss the old "see you next Tuesday." Right. Like I was stupid enough to say that to people who were making my life miserable and who would have instantly gone to our boss with it. One of the three was named Shelley. I don't know if she is the one who made the initial accusation, but she and her two friends all lied to HR and said it happened in front of the three of them. I was fired for supposedly calling our boss that word, and along with a lot of self-righteous anger about it all, I got a better job and moved on. A few years later, on Christmas Eve, I was in the post office, and someone called my name. I turned to look, and for some reason, when I saw her face, I exclaimed, "Darlene," like it was someone I was thrilled to see. I don't even know anyone named Darlene, have never known anyone named Darlene, and have no idea why I called her that, but then I said, "No, that's not right." She looked like I'd thrown water in her face and said, "Shelley." I said, "Oh, right. Shelley. I'm so glad to see you, because I need to thank you and everyone back there, because all the lies you told and the nasty things you did to get me fired turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. I have a great job now with people I love, and I make a ton more money, and it's all thanks to you and everyone at XXXXXX. She suddenly looked like she'd bitten into a lemon, and said, "Well, you have a Merry Christmas." And I walked away. Edit to add the word could. Second edit, I just remembered a small detail. You can imagine in a crowded post office on Christmas Eve when a gay man exclaims, "Darlene," all heads turn to look. It was a small post office, but there were still around 10 or 12 people watching while she corrected her name and I called her a liar who got me fired. Remembering it made me laugh, and I haven't even thought of that woman in 15 or so years. Wanna rat me out to management? Enjoy your new Facebook recommendations, by Yusrunkol Frenchie. So, last week, I got dragged into a meeting with my bosses and they told me that I, in no uncertain terms, could no longer use my iPad. I work at a hotel as a night auditor, so I'm not thrilled about this. And I also heard a couple of other allegations that I know originated from this one guy, let's call him Jim Bob. Anyway, I come in tonight to relieve Jim Bob only to find out that he's still logged into Facebook. I look through his feed and it's all sports and crap like that. Boring. Time to liven it up. I start liking a shitload of trends, furry, Scientology, communist, ballet, My Little Pony, anime, cosplay, and other such pages. Now, his Facebook feed is starting to look interesting. Force me to stay longer at work and not pay me? I'll ruin your business for a day, by user Swishleafy. About a year ago, I was a waitress at a family-owned diner. It was Mother's Day and a Sunday, so you can imagine how busy the diner was. The diner had 12 tables and I was the only actual waitress. Normally, my boss, the owner, would be helping me with tables on busy days. I show up to work and already people are in the diner, waiting to be served. My boss is nowhere to be seen. I was stressed out because it was just me and the cook. No dishwasher or busser. Within an hour, the restaurant was packed. I was responsible for serving everyone, taking pickup orders on the phone, managing online orders, cleaning the dishes, and bussing the tables. 12 tables. All by myself. I call my boss asking her where the hell she was. Doesn't pick up the phone. After 5 hours, my shift was about to end. The restaurant was still packed. I call my boss and she finally picks up. I ask her when she is coming as my shift is almost over, the restaurant is packed. This woman has the nerve to ask me, "Can you stay for 2 more hours? I had a doctor's appointment that I forgot, sorry." I calmly tell her, "My shift ends at 1. So I'm letting you know that someone needs to be here to take orders." She begs me to stay, that she has no one to be at the diner. I almost feel bad, but this woman has made me stay for 15 to 20 minutes after my shift ends and not paid me for those minutes. So I hang up and walk out. The next day, my boss is furious with me, asks me why on earth I thought my behavior was professional. I then reminded her that I had obligations outside of work and that I could not stay longer because she had forgotten to manage her time right. I was tempted to tell her I had a doctor's appointment too. But alas, I did not. Surprisingly, I wasn't fired. There were angry customers, lots of meals comped, the cook closed the diner temporarily. But I was the only worker who kept that diner running, so she had no choice but to keep me. A few months ago, I put in my 2 weeks' notice. My boss begged me to at least stay on the weekends. Told me, "No, you have to work weekends. I need you here." I told her, "Unfortunately, I will be working at my new job during that time, so I won't be available on weekends." Even though I put my notice in for 2 weeks, I ditched after a week and blocked her on everything. I now make twice as much at a easier job.